Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of That Was A Hoot, the Rocko's Modern Life live watch-along.
It's Modern Life.
Didn't you know that's how you're supposed to say it?
Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah, anytime there's a
Apostrophe, that's
apostrophe,
a breathe?
Yeah, it's a breathe.
Gotcha.
Much so as a period.
Gotcha. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So if I'm like, I'm going over to Shaad's house to record podcast.
Yeah. That's what are those things called?
What?
The things in words?
The things
like a
in
period
words?
and an apostrophe?
Punctuation.
Punctuation, I tell you.
Thank you.
It makes you punctual.
This is episode 10 and episode 11,
Yes.
I believe, that we are covering in this episode.
That's right.
So let's dive right in.
We're
Episode
getting
10.
close to the end of the first season.
I know, it's almost podcast, almost comic time.
That's right.
It's always podcast time.
It's always podcast time.
So episode 10, segment 1, The Good, the Bad, and the Wallaby.
That's right.
I really, really like this episode, and it has these two blocks of episode 10 have a lot of memory for me from childhood, especially the second one. There's something that happens in that second segment in particular. But
absolutely,
let's talk about Uncle Gib.
Oh, Uncle Gib Huston.
So we got a letter from Uncle Gib.
What is Uncle Gib? What kind of animal you think he is?
I don't know. I mean, he says it's his nephew.
Yeah.
So, which means that he is brother or sister, or he is brother to either his mother or father. So
right.
and
we've seen pictures of both of them.
Yes, and the mother and father are both wallabies as well. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm assuming he's just a wallaby. Maybe it's just a different color.
I think he's a dingo.
You think he's a dingo?
I don't know. He looks a little wolfy.
Yeah, I mean, he does for sure. He is definitely not just a straight up wallaby.
Yeah,
he's definitely taller.
Yeah,
also as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure what he is, but he owns a cattle ranch that Rocko remembers that he went to fondly in his youth, but his youth looked like it was just like days ago.
He was in the same clothes,
same hat,
same
everything,
size,
exactly
and everything.
the same everything.
Yeah.
But he remembers riding horses down there, and one particular was Jezebel the horse. And also I forgot to mention, and I didn't write it in my notes or anything at all, but this episode was written by a guy named something Swampy was his nickname, and it's in the writing credits for it.
Okay.
It's Swampy is in the quotes, and I thought that was just so odd that they opted to put like the dude's full name, which wasn't short
with his nickname,
but it has his nickname in it, and it says Swampy in parentheses.
I noticed that I started paying attention after we were talking about writing credits and everything, and at least in these episodes, I don't think Joe Murray wrote a single one of them.
Yeah,
he doesn't get writing credit. I think he gets directing credit on every one of them.
And creation.
And created by. But I think as far as the actual like day to day per episode, I think he gets directing credit on all of these.
So, riding Jezebel, bucking him off like he's riding like a mechanical bull or something like that. Yeah. Holding on to the stirrup or whatever, getting slingshot back out into Jezebel's mouth, literally chewed up and spit into a spittoon. Which at all of these things, anytime anything bad happens, Uncle Gib and his other cowfolk, compatriots, whatever you want, cowboys, all laugh hilariously at Rocko.
They don't mind making fun of him.
Yeah.
So he wants to go get back on the horse.
Yes, absolutely. Wants to go check out the ranch. Gets ready to leave. Heifer says that he wants to go with him real bad, and he's just like, I don't know if it's such a good idea. He's like, oh, I want to go. I want to be with my kind. I want to experience, see what it's like, you know. And he's just like, oh, okay. Well, just stay close.
Yeah. They go to the Lazy Eye Ranch.
The Lazy Eye Ranch, which logo is not like beating around the bush, which we don't see. I don't think directly above it just says Lazy Eye Ranch, but we see it in the brand later on. Yeah, which is literally just a set of eyes, and one is a lazy eye.
Yeah.
So Uncle Gib, Rocko knocks on the door. Uncle Gib squishes Rocko, smashes him flat, and calls him Ratso, along with several other names. Eventually we find out, but Ratso's first one.
Yeah.
They're like, Ratso, is that you? And he sees Heifer, and he's like, "Oh, you got much bigger, huh, my boy?" And he's behind the door, peels him off because he's flat like paper, like Judge Doom and Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes.
And kind of proceeds to tell him that he really wants to ride Jezebel again, and Heifer, he tells him to come inside. Is it for dinner or something?
Well,
first?
he tells Rocko. He says, "Why don't you have Heifer
get that steer out there in the pasture or something like that?"
Yeah, and Rocko said, and Heifer wants to spend time with his people, so that works out.
Yeah, and then cut to nighttime, and we see Heifer walking over to the pen with all the other bull, and they're all standing up asleep. To which he's like, "Standing up asleep? I guess there's a first time to try everything," and causes a domino effect, knocking every other one down, which is a lot that we end up seeing.
Kind of long line.
They all get kind of pissed off at him. He's just like, "I'll go sleep in the barn."
Then Rocko goes to ride Jezebel again. He is ready to go, and Uncle Gib puts him on the horse and is like, "All right." And
he's like, "Giddy up." She's not as energetic these days.
she's what's it called? Stuffed.
Yes, she's taxidermy.
She's been taxidermied
and has been so for 6 years now.
But
still comes in handy. We find out.
Yeah.
By the time the episodes end.
Absolutely. So Uncle Gib he's teaching Rocko the ways of the farm, the cattle ranch. Yeah, so he gets to learn to lasso cows, and he's supposed to lasso Heifer.
He makes several impressive shapes out of the lasso before he actually
Uncle Gib
lassos.
does?
Yeah, before he lassos another steer,
right?
Successfully, which was weird because he pulls it back and doesn't have to tie anything. It's like already tied in knots when it's tied around the animal.
If you're good at
somehow,
your job, you know what you're doing.
He does it. Whenever he does it, he snaps it into place. It becomes the Mona Lisa. It becomes like all these different one was the creationism thing where God touches Adam's finger. And he does that and then ropes the steer. And then Rocko, on the other hand, is not as great.
No. Go
and
figure.
He pulls in what first?
A cactus,
and then one other thing, and then a giant trash can, and then a massive fucking boat.
It's essentially the Titanic.
Yeah, it's like an ocean liner, like a full size boat, like a Titanic. Yeah.
And Heifer's like, "Come on, get me." He's just like standing there.
Oh, dude, my favorite part is the next one. Whenever he goes to the with the people.
Oh, the bar thing.
Yeah, he goes to the other cows whenever they pull him to the side, and they tell him like he's not really one of them because he's like city folk. He's one of their oppressors, basically. He's not even branded yet.
Yeah,
and then he tries to tell Rocko like multiple times, "If you were my friend, you'd brand my butt."
Yeah,
and it like smushes his ass against the window. And
just pushes. Yeah, he's really wanting to get branded,
but does not end up getting branded.
No, he does. He
says
the
lady with the big bouffant hair says like, "Does that look like felt tip pit?" And he's like, "Well, no, who would do that?"
And then he goes to the Moo Moo Club with the other cows to hang out, and they ride a human like a bull machine.
It's like a mechanical bull.
Yeah, but it's got a human face on it.
Person.
So
he's riding it, and then whenever Rocko walks in, they do the whatever it's called, record scratch.
Yeah.
They do the and everybody turns and looks at him. He's just like, Hef, can I have a word with you?
They give him the ultimatum. They're like,
you can say anything in front of it. If you said something to him, you could say it in front of his other steer brethren.
Yes. And then they give Heifer the ultimatum. They're like, you can either, hang out with Rocko or you can hang out with us. There's you can't play both worlds. And Heifer chooses his brethren.
Yeah, he chooses to be part of the herd.
That's right. And just one more time where they break up their friendship over many, many times.
Rocko seems completely unfazed by this because the next morning dawns.
Do you think he knows that
well, I mean, it's just
Heifer's going to get over this?
I think so, because, he kind of just shrugs it off whenever he's in the truck, in this next scene, because he's like waking up the next morning. Rocco's walking out of the house, like stretching, yawning, walking past, and he goes, Hey, Hef, morning. And he's just like, "Hey." And he's like, "What do you got to do?" And he's like, "Oh, we're going to market." Like it's no big deal. He's like, "Okay, well, see you later."
He's like, "I gotta pick up some things anyways," and he has a list of like
the
pies, cookies,
shakenly written down from whenever they're hitting rocks in the road.
It's like chips, dip, pies, and cookies.
Yeah. And then the other guy that's been talking to him is like, "I believe you do not." He's very in New Jersey, like almost like a mobster. That voice that other steer has, that's like, "I believe you do not understand the seriousness of the condition that we are in." Like he's got that kind of a thing going on for some reason outside in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, they do,
which is where we're actually at. They're in the middle of nowhere because I forgot about that. Whenever we're pulling into the Lazy Eye Ranch, you see the sign that says "Nowhere," middle of nowhere, and then way the heck outside of nowhere or something like that. There's a sign that says that. Because then the back of my mind, it was something that I wrote in my notes that I wanted to mention to you. We all know that Courage the Cowardly Dog lives in the middle of nowhere.
Oh.
So I'm wondering, is this farm from the Lazy Eye Ranch, is that adjacent to or close to where Muriel and Enos live with Courage?
Could be.
Are they in that same universe?
Yeah. I would buy it. Is that a Nickelodeon show also?
No. That was Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
But man can dream.
That's right.
We already have a Courage the Cowardly Dog / Scooby-Doo thing happening. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like it already exists, or
it
like
does
it's
now.
In production?
It's coming out. It's just a straight to video thing.
Oh.
Like stream, whatever.
Weird.
Yeah, I watched some clips from it and stuff like that. I was just like, this is really crazy, but I love it.
Makes sense.
It does.
So Rocko finds out, one of the farm hands tells him that what's happening, that they've been, that they aren't just going to market, they've been sold to the Lazy J.
The Lazy J
It's
Ranch.
not just the J Ranch, it's the Lazy J Ranch. So weird. The Lazy J Ranch.
They're wanting to let you know it's not just about the joke.
It's not about
every place is lazy.
Yeah. There's a Lazy K, there's a Lazy M. Yeah. So they're gonna be sold by the pound, if I remember right.
Yes.
And
separated and sold by the pound.
So Rocko doesn't want to lose his friend, and he doesn't think his friend realizes what's going to happen. So he takes action to go save his friend.
And what would be the best vehicle that you could possibly take to save a friend in need?
I would save a friend, ride a cowboy. No.
What? That's not how that goes.
I would save my friend riding a horse.
Yeah.
And Rocko has experience riding a horse now.
Right. At least one.
Yes. It's taxidermied, but we're going to take Jezebel.
She's now, I don't know if she was earlier, but at least now she is on a board with 4 wheels, like one of those little carts that you'd had to ride in kindergarten that you would push your butt around on.
Yeah, what was up with those?
I don't know. That was just part of the game. I don't know why we had to be on our butts.
What was the game?
Close to, well, they used to use it for like, we would do like kickball, but it'd be like sitting down. Or
like
kickball,
crab ball or something? Like, yeah.
I don't know how to like dodgeball or something like that, but it was sitting down.
Oh,
because I remember
they had handles on them.
Yeah,
I'm surprised we didn't break a lot of fingers.
Hold on to the handles, scoot around, and the ball would be like a beach ball type thing. And you would have to kick it at the person. Whenever it hit them, they would be out. So they would have to get up and then pick up their thing and go off.
I don't remember all of those rules, but I remember that game. What I enjoyed more was the big parachute that you got to like throw balls. Dude, and then
everybody loves the parachute.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the best.
So Rocko decides he's gonna use his lasso skills, even though it didn't go so great last time. And he whips his lasso around and throws it. And I believe that truck with that cart of cows has been gone for miles at this point.
Doesn't he miss Heifer at one point in time? Or
no,
does he get him right away?
He gets him right away, right on
his head.
On the top, like almost by his hair.
His horns, because he's got the horns up
there.
I
forgot those horns up there. Yeah. So he gets him by that, and then away he goes on his wheeled Jezebel. Yeah,
it's very slapsticky, and hilarity ensues, as you can guess, where Jezebel will almost run him over as they're going down a hill, and then they go up a hill, so then it gets whipped backwards, and he's on her, trying to like go up the hill, and kind of tight ropes his way into the truck. Across the rope that is lassoed, and then he steps on the cows, and he's like, "Excuse me, pardon me," all the way to the front, where he smashes his face up against the front of the window to try and tell them to stop. But he does it where he breathes to try and right it, because he did that one. Yeah, it's backwards, and they go, "Pots, what's that mean?"
But then the windows rolled down, so he's like, "Can you just stop the car?" Or whatever.
He's like, "Why don't you say so?" And then he goes off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have it written down what he goes past?
Over a thing of a cactus pit.
Yes.
Then a pit of snakes.
Yes.
Then a toxic waste dump.
Yes.
And then a utensil graveyard that says, "Please bury your utensils pointy end up." And then lands in the comfy chair dump.
Yeah.
And then that bounces him into a cactus.
He thought it was unexpected, and then the spring comes out and jettisons him onto one cactus.
Yes. A singular cacti.
Mm-hmm.
So then, he saves Heather. Heifer.
He saves Heather.
Heifer is saved and apologizes to Rocko for the night before when he didn't want to be around them, and says that they are them and we are us. I just thought that was a real dumb Heifer line that was just perfect.
Uncle Gib is impressed, inspired by Rocko's heroics that he had done, and decides that he's going to close the ranch business altogether and then instead open a Club Moo resort for all of the cows.
Yes.
I'm assuming maybe not just his, but maybe for all other cows and stuff as well. Which I don't believe ever see this again. I think this is the only time we ever see or know of Uncle Gib is this mentioning of it. And then Rocko and Heifer ride off into the sunset on the back of sheep as their steers or their horses. And then Uncle Gib then sings us a catchy little tune about Rocko the Wallaby of the West.
It's a really good song.
And Heifer asks which is funnier as they're walking off, bananas or cheese, and then the screen dissolves goes that way, and then we go to the next episode.
And cheese is what Rocko says.
Yes.
My question to you this episode is, what is funnier, bananas or cheese?
They both have their predication in our lexicon.
You can slip on banana peels.
You cut
the cheese.
Banana peels also look rather phallic, so there's those kind of jokes that you can do with this. Yeah, you cut the cheese. Stinky cheese, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I'll go with bananas.
I think
honestly.
bananas are funnier.
It's a little bit more classic than the cheese jokes and stuff like that as well.
Yeah. They're not as cheesy.
Let's get to that 10 segment 2.
Trash-O Madness.
Trash-O Madness.
Which was the pilot.
Yes, 100%.
We talked about this. This is the edited, redone, but you can definitely tell from the animation that this is one of the earlier episodes.
Yeah. It's actually because I watched the segment block on my PC a couple of times for a couple of the episodes, and this one you notice the animation's a little bit more jarred. So they were just polishing up what was already existing. I don't know if they did too much more animation cleanup other than what they had done. Like, they didn't go back and redo everything.
Yeah, I think they recolored. I think they probably edited down some things that...
But you can see some grittiness that's to it that's on there that you could be like, this is not the same caliber of some of the other episodes we've already seen.
Yeah. It's interesting that they would just be like, oh, let's save our money and just re-edit it, but not put it as the pilot. We're going to put it further back in the collection.
Yeah.
Even though it works. I mean, I feel like the way that they talk, this is the pilot. Like, the way, more than any other episode, this feels like the first time of something. In the way that they word things. I don't even know if I pinpointed anything in my notes, but you can just hear them, like the way that they word things is just like, oh, well, that acts like that's the first time of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're establishing something here,
right?
That the writing isn't like in any other episode. It's interesting.
So you say that this opens up with seeing a shot of Rocko's house with a trash can in your foreground, and then the crazy dog with the insanely sharp teeth.
We learned his name later, but for now he's just the trash dog.
Yeah. Opening up a trash can and drinking a beer out of the trash.
Yeah.
Which is
he's
odd.
Hardcore. That dog he is.
Is that the Big Head's dog then?
I don't think he belongs to anybody.
Doesn't?
Not that I know of.
I didn't know if that was like a canon thing, like if he's like the Big Head's dog, or if he's just like, he has a collar on, I think.
It's true, but it's like spiked collar.
That's what I mean. I didn't know.
He's just a badass.
It's just aesthetic.
Yeah,
he's still like a person that's like a street hoodlum that wears like a leather jacket with spikes on it.
Yeah,
but he doesn't belong to nobody. But that's part of his aesthetic because he's tough as those spikes.
That's right. Yes,
like that.
Yes,
I get you.
Then we cut to Rocko, who is awakened by his alarm clock that just yells, "Hey, get up!"
Uh-huh.
And Rocko tells Spunky He's too hungry to dance.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. Okay. I don't get it either.
But they haven't had a real breakfast since they left home, indicating that they left home,
right.
Which I thought was an odd concept, that it was that they've
not had a good real breakfast. I'm assuming like this episode canonically is first, so we're meant to believe that maybe he's only been here for a handful of months, maybe at this point.
That's one of the verbiage.
He's got a house, he's established, he has stuff in there. We know that he's at least been there for 6 months based off of the trash men. Because they even say that.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe he's been there for a little longer than that, that's close to a year maybe. And maybe that's what he means. Like they don't have time to eat breakfast or something because they're so busy or something.
Yeah. Or maybe they haven't been able to afford it or whatever.
That too.
But he looks longingly at this family photo, which shows his mom and his dad and him and Spunky. But it also shows a small wallaby in the pouch, indicating that Rocko has a sibling.
Yeah.
Of some
Socko.
Yeah, Socko. Like from Mankind.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that Socko.
The wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So they dream about waffles on a stick and Big Bob's bacon bombs, and then Spunky dreams of heart valve bits
that are spitting out blood. they have blood spouting
come out of that can, and
yeah,
nasty.
It says, if you promise not to electrocute yourself today, I will buy you a puppy crunch meal at Barfy's. Don't know what that means.
That's what Rocko tells Spunky.
I know, but I don't know what that means. Like, what is a puppy crunch meal? And where is Barfy's? Because this is the only time we've ever heard that we ever hear this place.
I'm assuming Barfy's is
what's the name of the fast food chain? Is it Clucky Chicken?
Chunky
Chicken?
Choky Chicken.
Yeah. Then that's basically that's our bread and butter from that after we get to the Choky Chicken. And we don't really think of any other fast food places.
But Barfy's, I would imagine, is like a McDonald's or something. Yeah. And their puppy crunch meal is, I assumed, like a kid's meal, but for animals.
Oh.
For dogs. But
do you think it has the heart bits?
Maybe. The specific thing is, though, if you promise not to electrocute yourself today, it's like, okay, how many times does he electrocute himself to be like, don't do it today?
Enough. I think it's already happened before in an episode or two that we've passed.
Right.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
So they look outside the window and they see the Hill O Stench Rubbish Company truck, who are the giant rats with a living garbage truck.
Yes.
It has sharp teeth that bite the trash, basically, and chew it up. And we hear, he say what I was saying earlier. He says that it's been 6 months since
they must have got their
license back.
What do you have to do to get your license revoked as a trash person?
I don't know. I mean, you're literally the only time you're going fast is going back to the dump.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're going at least like 5 to 10 miles an hour at most, driving past each person's house.
I guess they don't, though, because we see them run over multiple cars.
Yeah.
In the process,
and cans and other things.
Ran over cars into the trash can, into the garbage truck. They just roll them up, throw them in there.
So it's been at least 6 months since they've had any kind of trash pickup in this house. Which is evident by all the things that we end up seeing them collecting and trying to get into.
He's scrambling,
trash cans. Absolutely 100% scrambling.
Trying to not miss them this time.
So realizing that it's trash day and knowing that Rocko is going to come out, Trash Dog knows this is my opportunity. I'm going to F this guy up.
Yes.
Starts sharpening his teeth on a grindstone, which as I was watching this, it kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies because I was kind of like, visualizing what it would be like if you put your tooth on a grindstone kind of a thing and what that might feel like. And I was just kind of like, got a little bit of a show. I was like, no, I don't like this. That's not for me.
Rocko goes to vacuum, but has a different vacuum than the Succomatic.
Well, yeah, it's the first episode.
That's true. But, if we're watching them in this order,
I know
it's sitting in the garage and we know this.
Yeah.
But
we got to leave it there. It's dangerous.
That's true. I understand completely why he wouldn't want to get it out. And then he cleans the fridge, and there's an odd amount of. He goes, "Ew, bad sausage,"
which Spunky never chews on or gets, but he smells it and licks his lips like he's gonna eat it.
Yeah.
But it gets to a container that he pulls out and goes, "Uh oh," because it's covered in a layer of dust.
Yes.
Or funk, maybe. I thought it was dust because he kind of blows part of it off, and just a thick layer of dust and cobwebs. And whenever he blows it off, it says war bonds on it, which I guess it's been in this. The last time we've had any war bonds was 1945.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, like, it's been somewhere in his family or whatever since that point in time, since before he was born, probably.
Which goes to my theory that this was his grandmother's house.
Yeah.
And that's her skeleton in the garage.
Right.
Is that this was
completely. And we're in America now, so that she was probably, if she would move to America back then, she could have been there in times of war bonds.
Absolutely.
So I wonder if that fridge is that old then.
It could be.
Regardless, the thing
that's
blob inside of it is amoebus. I don't know. I wanted to ask you like what you really thought this was. It's my question for you from this episode. What do you think that is?
It's
because it squirts ink like a squid or something like that, but it's not like
almost like it belongs in the ocean.
Yeah, and like whenever it goes into Spunky's bowl, it sucks up the water and gets giant, almost like a sponge.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I don't know if it's like some kind of like a weird sea creature of some kind that's inside of it.
I think I'm gonna go with like a sea urchin.
That like at one point in time it was a sea urchin that they caught in 1945. Put it inside here. We'll eat that later.
Yeah,
never ate it, and it turned into this eventually.
Yes.
It's like a zombie sea urchin.
Yes. Yeah.
Regardless,
let's go with that.
It's pretty gross.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of the way that it sticks in his mouth. That was one of my points that I was talking about earlier. This with the sticky goo ball in his mouth is always something that sticks off into my head. Whenever I think about Rocko, I like when his mouth stretches open and he does a bang, like you hear like what almost sounds like a rubber band bouncing.
Yeah,
whenever he's trying to stick his tongue and push the thing out of his mouth, but it won't go out of his mouth because it's stuck so well. Yeah.
And he finally gets it out.
Yes.
And it sprays him with the black stuff, like you said, and then hops away. So it's definitely sentient of sorts. It's got a mind of its own, can do its own things. And it goes into the water and then into Spunky's like water bowl, and then sprays Rocko with it after it grows big, and then Spunky's back with it again. He's got it again.
And it's a little less sticky after that though too, because he's able to get it out of his mouth and throw it in the very top of the trash can.
Oh yeah.
Then we get the shot of Rocko needing to get the trash out to the can. Obviously, there's probably going to be more trash than what he has.
Yeah.
So we need to compact it because we only got the one can.
Yes.
So we've got the dispenser that is like a
trash compactor.
I guess.
Is that a real thing?
And trash compactors are real things.
Are they real things?
At like landfills.
For homes, though. A home version?
Not at all.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
No. I think they have something that's similar to that like is in a trash can. Because they have like the thing that's
presses it down.
Yeah, it's like a handle or something. Like you lift the handle up off the side, and it has like two plastic pieces that come there, and you can push it to kind of compress your own trash down further, so that way you have more room in the same trash can in the trash bag, so you're not wasting as much space.
There's about to be some good bags though, because otherwise you just like
hefty, man.
We'll pull the sides of it, and then you rip holes in your bag.
The official podcast of our brand of trash bag from IFNZ is hefty. Where are we at?
So yeah, they put it in the trash compactor and get the Chinese takeout size box.
Yes.
But Spunky's in there because he was trying to get that green ball. So you see Spunky on the side of the little Chinese takeout box thing, and Rocko opens the door to go take out the trash, and there is Crazy Trash Dog ready to
bust his head through the back door at one point in time too, trying to get him.
Yeah, because Rocko is scared and his brain pops out again. We've seen that a few times now, and then he goes back to the back door, and there he is, and he goes, he must have escaped from the science lab again. So I guess we kind of know that
have a history.
Yeah, we have a history of this dog, and he's a science experiment of sorts, I guess.
Part of me thinks it's like animal testing.
Oh,
we know they do animal testing and shit at like Conglommo. You know what I mean? With like all the different things that happened out there in those episodes.
That's true. Yeah.
So maybe he was like an animal test subject, and they just keep him there and keep testing on him.
Yeah.
I bet he's built up resilience and immunity to probably lots of things.
Oh, absolutely.
He seems tough.
So Rocko goes to the roof because he thinks that he's going to be able to all the trash that he's got is just this little compacted box now. So he's trying to cast it out to the trash can or to the trash truck.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make it to there, but he does get to where the dog can get it, and he notices that Spunky's on there, and he wants it. He puts it in his mouth. Puts that trash in his mouth.
I like the little prancing things that you get whenever he's trying to reel the line back in.
Uh-huh.
And he reels it back in, and the dog is like prancing after it because he doesn't know the dog's right down there at that point in time. And he reels it back in, and the dog is like got Spunky in his mouth on the line, just kind of sitting there spinning, dangling.
Yeah. Is that when he says trash day is very dangerous?
Yeah, he looks right at the camera and does the garbage day. It's a very dangerous day. Yeah.
And we find out that the dog's name is Earl.
Mm-hmm.
And Rocko punches Earl after he's been punched by Earl many times. Earl just like not letting go of it and just like knocks him out. And then Rocko finally decides he's going to punch the dog back. And
he like squishes in his nose.
Yeah, he just like collapses in his face.
And then he like pulls it, straightens it back up. It's just like, good as new.
Sorry. Yeah. and so he lets go of Spunky, but Rocko gets beaten up pretty badly instead. And then once he gets done taking his lashings, he peels Spunky off of the little to-go box and rolls him out with a rolling pin, and then pumps him up with a bike pump. And we get Spunky back. He's back to life.
As one does. So later, Rocko and Spunky are taking a bath, and Spunky has the green blob in with his mouth, which he does not show at first.
Yes.
He's very
he's shy about it. He doesn't want you to know about it. Yeah.
And then the green blob is touches the bathtub, and the whole house fills up with a green blob.
Because it's a lot of water.
Yeah, 100%.
It's a lot.
It gets huge whenever it was just Spunky's bowl. I can imagine what it would be like if it was an entire bathtub.
Yeah. And then he squirts the ink all over the screen.
Mm-hmm.
The end.
End of episode.
My question was about the trash compactor. Do they exist in real life on a personal level?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, knowing that they do exist in Star Wars on a large level. But how do they work in on a personal level? But sounds like they don't.
What did they do with it in Star Wars? Did they shut down all of the trash compactors on the detention level?
Yeah. Yes, they did.
That's good.
How'd you know?
Mm.
Episode 11,
Lucky
segment
guess.
1. Power trip.
Power trip.
Got that power trip, boy.
Really, really big man.
He's here.
He's here now.
His first appearance.
Yes, sir. I love this guy. His nipples of justice or whatever they're called.
He is a Superman analog. And doesn't pay much attention to anything. That's kind of his shtick. Is he's completely
oblivious.
He's oblivious. That's a good word.
Yeah.
To it all. He even like he saved this person. This person's like, hey, can you do this for me? He's like, yeah, let me just get this stuff back. And he throws the building where it goes, and he throws this where it goes, and then he's like, I'm gonna throw this bomb or rocket or whatever into the sun, and then he realizes that he still has a rocket in his hand, but the guy's missing, so he just like launched the
dude into the sun and killed him.
Exactly. But his alter ego, instead of being like a Clark Kent type, it's Lois Lane.
Yeah, he is the female. He dresses up in a wig. Exactly. Look, he's wearing the uniform underneath as well, too. Like not underneath, but like he's still wearing it. And the only thing that's different is he's wearing like glasses and a wig, and like I think a blazer or something like that over it, like a smart like female blazer.
Oh, okay.
But like other than that, like you can still see the red suit and shit from underneath.
Yes. This is a comic that Rocco's reading. It's not even in real life yet. And while he's working at kind of a lot of comics. And
so this is like based in a work, not a fiction then.
Yes.
So this is like a comic book that is steeped in reality.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, kind of like when you get like the comics that celebrate like the president or something.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, there's true story comics all the time. There's like a Lizzie Borden comic. Not quite a celebratory thing, but same thing.
Right.
There's a true life comics.
About people's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So Rocco's boss is going out of town to get hair implants and is leaving him in charge, asks him to hire an assistant for Rocco while he's gone, and then tells him not to touch the green button.
We hear that multiple times echoed throughout his mind in this episode. Rocko goes through a bunch of weird interviews and then ends up hiring Filbert, our favorite green turtle friend.
Was Filbert not like the person who trained him?
Yeah, he was.
Turn the page, wash your hands.
Yep, that was him.
So,
but it also lends credence to the fact that you had said what we had talked about last episode, I believe, whenever we had discussed
that turtles are just in service industry.
Turtles are in the service industry, so maybe it wasn't actually Filbert, it was somebody else.
True, it could be.
Just similar to how like the slugs are all the people from like Carnies and stuff like that too. So I think it's hard I forget potentially of like a similar vein. Maybe that really wasn't Filbert that trained him, but he thought, hey, Filbert would be perfect for this because he's a turtle.
Yeah, and I had a turtle train me to begin with.
Yeah, that looked just like you.
Yes.
So Rocko goes off into his boss's office. He starts sitting down in the chair, playing with the chair.
It's like massage-y stuff to it.
Like shakes his body and everything like that, and turns him into jelly at one point in time. He reforms, and then quickly looks at the button, hears the "Don't touch the green button" in the back of his, and touches it. To which the chair starts vibrating, which is nice. But then Rocko gets a crazy look in his eye and turns into essentially like another evil boss type character like his boss.
Yes. He starts gets the spots on his head.
Yeah, the warts.
And like gets a cigar, like all of a sudden is like smoking a cigar. And I
don't like sinister Rocko.
No, it's not a good character. I mean, you're not supposed to like him, I guess, but I don't like him.
No, me either.
All the customers want. I find this part's really weird about this episode. All the customers want really, really big man comics.
Yes.
And Rocko really wants Filbert to sell really, really big man comics. I don't understand what the problem is here. Because it seems like there's this whole thing of like Rocko's like, sell more really, really big man comics. And all the customers are like, we want really, really big man comics. Why aren't they just selling them?
I don't know.
I don't understand the dilemma here.
Yeah. He even describes it whenever he comes back into the office after like the next attempt, because he keeps going Filbert, bringing him back and forth into the from like the crowd or whatever. And then like the very last time he says something to him to the effect of like supply and demand. And starts talking to him like, we supply and they demand. What is so difficult about that? He's like starts saying exactly what you're saying. And I don't understand the point of it. I guess he's just pissed off because he keeps asking for him to talk to him, to berate him every 2 seconds. And so he's not really having enough time to actually sell anything. So he's getting mad that he's not selling anything, but he would be able to if he gave him 2 seconds to actually do his job.
That makes sense. I've had bosses like that.
Yeah, me too.
And that helps. You did a good job of making it relate for
me. And then that's what I'm here for.
And Rocko tells Filbert that if he doesn't sell them, he is fired. He's now dressed like the boss even. And Filbert calls really, really big man to help.
He freaks the fuck out whenever he sees that Rocko is dressed up in the boss outfit and almost like in a different body too. Like his body changes to like the boss too.
And so really, really big man answers the call and busts down a bunch of buildings like he's in a Zack Snyder Superman movie. And just
no regard for any property whatsoever.
It's like, I am here.
Millions of damage.
Doesn't even care. Doesn't care.
Really, really big man tells Rocko to look in his magic chest hairs and his muscular bosom to see what is currently happening, and then looks in the past.
Yes.
And then we get to first experience of the nipples of the future, which we will
before
get.
That. Huh? Before that, we get into like this, like that flashback, that past is of Rocko and Filbert as kids on the playground. So now we now have Rocko as a child hanging out with Filbert.
They're all best of a friends.
Sudden, even though Rocko
Filbert, and Heifer grew up together. Didn't you know?
This is the whole like.
There's in between Australia and wherever we are in the United States, wherever O-Town is at, there's an island that's not Hawaii that people take all their kids to, and it's like a island daycare.
I got a theory. Just came up with it.
All right.
What if, so going off of the thought that this is Rocco's grandma's house, Rocko visited his grandma
when he was a kid,
and I mean, I remember going to like where because one set of my grandparents doesn't live in this area. They live in Missouri. And so I remember going over there, and I would make friends from time to time and play with them. So I could see where he could have made friends when he visited his grandma.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't look like he was like he just playing with him at one point in time in the show. So it's not like it was like an extended period of
right.
time.
So it could be just visits to grandma's house. And absolutely.
I'm glad you cleared that up for me.
We got this. You got your back, you got mine. Then he stares into the nipples of the future.
Yes, where what'd you say? I felt like pushed a line for kid cartoons.
Yeah, it was like
the nipples sucking onto his eyes.
Like the nipples like shooting out and sucking on eyes.
Does that happen before? No, because this is the first time we saw Really, Really Big Man. I was trying to think. I was like, there's one instance in an episode where it happens and whatever guy or creature or something that's like the bad guy it's sucking onto, and he starts like freaking out. Because like everybody's like, it's like I think it's like they're making like a Really, Really Big Man movie or something like that, and it's something that happens from that.
Gotcha.
And let's see.
Really, Really Big Man is like the ghost of the past, future, and present.
Yeah, he's a Christmas Carol.
Yeah, he's
in superhero form,
all in one.
And we know that he's destructive and stuff like that, and he has like all these superpowers and stuff.
Yeah,
but I mean, really, like what is he? I mean, like in general,
I always thought he was kind of like,
is he a superhero?
Like,
you know what I mean?
Oh, is he a superhero?
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I guess that he is. They got the comic books from him. He's got the powers. He's got the cape and the outfit and stuff like that. But I mean, like, what has he saved?
I don't know. He's just all we see in this episode is him being kind of a celebrity, right? Like
that's what it seems like.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm sure we get to...
He's like
he rescues Rocko.
He's what's the guy's name? Edward Lockhart from Harry Potter? The dude with the brushed blonde hair?
Gilderoy
Lockhart, yeah. He's like the Gilderoy Lockhart of...
Like he didn't actually do anything. He just tells a bunch of stories.
He is really strong and stuff like that, but people treat him like a superhero because they're like... I mean, he is a hero. He's got strong powers and stuff like that, but he doesn't really do anything great.
I feel like he saves Rocko from being his boss.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he breaks the spell in here.
Sometimes you got to use your nipples to break a spell.
That's right. The nipples show Rocko acting exactly like his boss in that future, and so that makes Rocko change his ways and apologizes to Filbert, and they do a signing and a meet and greet with Really, Really Big Man.
Yes.
To kind of save the store because there are some damages to the store. Go figure. Really, Really Big Man's there. But when he's signing for the kids, he's ripping off their arms every time. And and I love that when they go to they do like a shot of Really, Really Big Man leaving, and all the kids are like, they're out in front of the store, and you see all the kids are like missing one of their arms still. Like they kept true to it that he really did rip off their arms, and they were just cool with it. And they're like, bye, Really, Really Big Man.
Yeah. So once everything comes back down to it and they get fired.
Yeah, the boss comes back
they've got their money back, everything's situated. He
didn't like Filbert.
Didn't like Filbert at all. Yeah. But immediately fires both of them.
Because he tells Rocko to fire Filbert, and Rocko's like, I'm not doing that. It's my friend. And he's like, well, then you're both fired.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he had did he think Filbert was the guy before Rocko?
He could have.
And he's like, I don't like that guy. Like, I fired him already. Or he reminds me too much of that guy I fired already, Steve.
What did he expect? I mean, they're all in their service industry. Right. What are you going to get?
Gonna get turtles. He liked Rocko. He liked the Wallaby instead.
Mm-hmm. But we find out that Really, Really Big Man,
Lois Lane,
the Lois Lane persona, is actually the replacement.
That's right.
At the comic book store for both of them. That's right. So that's pretty neato.
That is neat. If you had, my question to you is, if you could have one superhero in the real world, like Really, Really Big Man is a comic book hero in the real world, who would it be for you? One superhero in the real world.
I don't want to go Superman.
No.
I guess, I mean, if it could be any of them.
It's a rough call.
Yeah. I was just trying to think. I was like, I could go with somebody that's a little bit more, I guess, could be more realistic and more steeped in reality, like a Batman, because, I mean, that realistically would be somebody that's just like, they train their body, they've trained their mind, they have a lot of money and stuff, and they've got the means to actually get these equipment to become this as a persona. But if I'm going to go, far out reaching and stuff like that, maybe somebody like, I don't know, man.
I go Spider-Man, I think. I'm not even a giant Spider-Man fan, but I feel like you want a hero that like gives you hope.
Yeah,
and
he definitely does that.
I don't feel like
if not,
it's got a good message.
Spider-Man's really good. If not Spider-Man, somebody like Professor Xavier,
Ooh,
because he's got a lot of really strong abilities. I mean, not just like the mentality and stuff like that as well, but his moral compass is like 100% spot on for the most part.
And that's what I like about the Spider-Man choice too. I wanted to go with Iron Man because I like the gadgets and everything, but Iron Man creates a lot of his own problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know if I'd want that in my world that already has a lot of problems.
Like Ultron.
Yes. Yeah. We don't need that. We don't need that.
We already have enough problems of our own.
Section 2.
To heck and back.
Yes.
We get to go and visit our Choky Chicken place that we were talking about.
Karen.
I forgot about the name, but
Karen the Chicken.
We get to meet Karen the Chicken. This is an episode that I've referenced multiple times now so far.
Yeah.
And we get to talk about it.
We get to talk about
Finally, we get to...
She's applying for a job.
She's getting a job over doing an open interview. See if it's a place that she wants to work.
Yes. If she's a good fit. I like how they don't actually say the word work at any point because we find out quickly that Karen becomes chicken meat.
Yeah.
But I like that they interview their chickens to see if they're a good fit to be part of
That's
Choky
real good
Chicken.
quality though. I mean, you got to think about that. Like, what if there was an actual full-on interview process for every chicken that you ate from like KFC?
Right.
Like you knew like this was like maybe like you would get down to a point to be like, this chicken, not only was it, cage free, grass fed, delicious, it's had a really good life, but it also has a really good like moral compass too. You know what I mean? Like it's a good person.
It's not like a shitty chicken.
Yeah.
Nobody likes a shitty chicken.
No one likes a shitty chicken.
That's right. And then we cut to Rocko and Heifer are at the Choky Chicken ordering things. A couple of the things I wrote down that are on the menu, there's a very large menu, but the number 11 is a mystery pack. The number 37 is a tub of chub.
What if like a mystery pack is like literally they just be like, I'm going to give you an 8-piece, but it's just whatever we grab first.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's
like,
kind of blindly.
You might have like 4 breasts and
like
then like 2
wedges.
legs. And it's just literally whatever they just grab.
The tub of chub, 39 is greasy skin bits.
Gross.
41 is coleslaw instead of coleslaw. 43 is just chunks. 71's organs. 99's eyelids. And then 127's a backpack.
Yeah. How do you get a 127 full of a bunch of other things?
I want to get a 127 with a number 11 inside.
Yeah.
Get a mystery pack in my backpack.
Perfect.
And Heifer
says, I think I'll have chicken.
She goes, which one? And he goes, I think I need more time. Oh, but then Rocko goes to order and then gets interrupted by Heifer.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Rocko ever even orders. I mean, he's eating something at the table.
He is, but I don't know if it's not established what he's trying to get.
Yes. And so Heifer orders a bunch of stuff, including a large mayonnaise. And he's like, I'm going to go get a table, and sticks Rocko with the check, which is like 37 and some change, something like that.
Rocko walks over to the table that Heifer is chugging ketchup at.
He loves that restaurant ketchup.
Delicious science. Rocko opens his chicken box and it clucks at him.
Yeah.
He wants to talk to Heifer about Heifer taking advantage of him. Ipso facto, the $37.
That's right. Yeah.
And change and all that shit. Because that happens a lot, as we have now come to.
Absolutely. Heifer just doesn't mind Rocko picking up the bill.
But as this is proceeding and he's having this heart-to-heart with him and talking and trying to explain his feelings, Heifer is not interjecting because Heifer is now at this point choking on an entire chicken skeleton that is in his throat stuck that we can see from the outside because his
rib
throat
cage
is
and everything.
You can see it from the outside because his throat's so small, which is weird. You know how much he eats and stuff, but his like neck is so thin.
Got that tiny neck.
He got a tiny neck. And he's got the whole skeleton. Rocko asked for a doctor, and all of the people inside of the entire room, nothing but doctors. 100%. They all just turn around and start talking and eating again.
Yes.
He tries to perform the Heimlich by jumping up and down on top of Heifer.
That's how it's done. I mean, Rocco's a small boy, and Heifer's much larger, so he's got to do what he can.
Whenever Heifer at this point in time is leaving his body,
yes,
he's dying. And he looks down as he's looking at his body and looking at Rocko trying to jump up and down on him and saving him. And he looks over and sees chicken on the table still and goes, ooh. And he reaches for it to try and eat it still while he's a soul. And it's at that point in time that we immediately see like, oh, not only like this is 100% certifying that you are a shitty friend and you're a glutton.
Yeah.
I mean, you literally, that's why he's going to hell. But I mean, like, he's a glutton, which is still to this day how I say it and I say it that way. I'm like, I'm a glutton because of it. But yeah, his angel wings melt off.
Yes.
And then drop straight down into heck.
Yes.
Where it is now heck. You can see that the sign has been corrected.
It's heck, a friendly community. It says on the sign. And we meet Peaches. Peaches is a demon, the devil. I'm not sure exactly what he is.
I don't know, because like that's what we mentioned before when we were talking about it, because we see a devil that comes out from the very first episode.
And he looks devilish.
And his red horns, tail, pitchfork that we think of.
Right.
I'm thinking that guy is a demon. What we see as a stereotypical devil is demons.
Gotcha.
And that's why they're the most like stereotypical, because they're the most wide out there.
Right.
Peaches is something completely different that we've never seen. He is He's our devil basically for this world.
Yeah. He so Peaches introduces himself.
Such an odd creature.
He tells Heifer that he can't say hell due to censors. That's why it's heck.
Censors.
And tells Heifer that he is guilty of one of the 7 deadly sins. He is
I love whenever he yells them at them. He's like, does the big presentation.
Yes. He tells him, he's a glutton. He has a TV. He's like, this is the chair from heck and the TV from heck. And he's like, try to change the channel. And Heifer's like, well, where's the remote? And he's like, there is no remote. That is your punishment. And goes through all
the list of like all the other things, because the list goes on for forever. And he's like, and Heifer laughs about it and says, I like saying heck. Because it's like, and this is the pineapple from heck. This is the lemon from heck. And he just like keeps going down a big laundry list.
Yes. Yeah. And there's and then I don't know why. Why do you suppose that a paddle ball is so torturous? Is that torturous?
I don't know. I guess.
Can it be annoying?
I think it's just
do it so many times.
If you're trying to go for like a record or something like that, it could probably get annoying, but I don't really know why it's considered torturous.
I've never been that good at it to have to worry about it being.
I think that's also part of it. Like that's part of the torture. Like it's not a thing that a lot of people are really good at to begin with. To worry about. So if somebody was like, we'll say for example, you or I are in heck, and somebody was like, hey, you have to do this 1,000 times in a row, and then you can go on to something else, So this is your torture. You're sitting in the middle of like a hot place, sweating your balls off, and you're just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you know what I mean. And you're just constantly failing over and over again.
Yes,
that's the only thing I can think of.
Rocco's still trying to save Heifer.
Yes,
he continues to jump on him and accidentally pops his skull out one time, and there's just like a
deflated skin flap of a head. He's just like, oh. And then he shoves it back inside.
I didn't know that's how it worked, but
I didn't either.
But then he goes, Heifer, you've got X's for eyes.
What the place does that mean? To which all of the doctors again turn around to look to see what they're talking about, and then turn right back around and start talking again.
And then Rocko does realize that there is a chicken skeleton in his throat as well.
Which the scope and scale gets a little shifted here at this point in time. We see the whenever he's trying to reach in to grab it, it's not just like an arm reaching in and grabbing. It's like his entire body is now inside Heifer, and Heifer is now like a whale size.
Yeah,
like it's completely exaggerated.
It works.
In that point. It does. Yeah.
Peaches shows Heifer how he is a glutton or a gluton. And this is all kind of happening side by side. They kind of go back and forth between Peaches showing Heifer and Rocko still trying to save Heifer as Rocko falls into one of Heifer's stomachs. And Peaches is like, look, you've even got your own friend in your stomach. Like, that's how much of a glutton you are. Like, he's going to die, and you're going to have to watch him die all of these deaths over and over again. And
for eternity.
Yes.
And then he does the big
watch
reveal,
reruns and everything. Yeah.
Which is pulling off his mask that he's had on and showing that his true face is this like fleshy, sharp tooth creature underneath with like udders on his head that squirt out milk.
It's winter, yeah.
Yeah. His head spins around too.
He's
like
definitely
Beetlejuice style.
So do you suppose that Peaches is that specific look because of Heifer? Because Heifer's a cow and he has his own udders. Does Heifer have udders?
No, he's a steer.
He's a steer. That's
he's
right.
Male.
That's right.
Yeah.
So do you think that has any connection, or is it just like that's something fun that Peaches
Maybe
has
it's
to
something
offer?
like he's like the living embodiment of,
his
like
mom
as a demon or as the devil. Maybe the devil personification in O-Town or in this universe is just whatever your worst fear is or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't like the looks of others.
Could be.
Maybe he likes dudes. Maybe he likes other steers.
Could be. Rocko turns on Heifer's heart. He's in the stomach and he sees like, oh, what's this?
Switch.
There's just like a little like pull chain for like a light. And it turns out that that's what turns Heifer back to life. Also, is just he needs his heart turned on. So he comes back to life. Rocko jumps out of his
That's one of my favorite parts because it has a full snare roll that goes into after it's done, like they're doing like a circus act. And all of the doctors start turning around and clapping and cheering at that point in time, throwing money at them.
Yes. Which Heifer then offers to
my treat.
Go were they going to go get a snack or something like that?
in the food establishment that they're already at.
Oh, and turns out that this was all a dream. Because they're walking out of there and Heifer's like, let's go get a snack. And Rocco's like, haven't you learned anything? And it turns out that Rocko is Peaches again. And then Heifer wakes up and he's like, oh no, that was a bad idea. And
he wakes up in the house and he's freaking out, but the entire house is Peaches.
And then Peaches becomes the whole house. And then he's all of the houses in the neighborhood.
So at that point in time, he's almost like Freddy Krueger in that sense. Like a dream nightmare that changes and changes.
That would make sense. Yeah. And then Heifer had said when he woke up the first time from the dream, he says, I should quit exercising so much. And then he finds that when he wakes up that last time,
he's
wakes
in a
up
coffin. He thinks
he's in a coffin. He's buried alive, but he's in the Mr. Pretzel box.
But how did he fit his arm and a match up inside of the box that his head only is stuck inside?
I don't know.
He's just squirming around on the ground with his head stuck inside of a box.
In Rocco's yard. And Rocco's like, Heifer, let's go. Well, we're going to be late. Whether they're going somewhere.
And then we get to see
the comic sale.
Yeah, they're going to a comic sale. We get to see Karen, the chicken. She stops up by to say that she's off to her job interview for Choky Chicken. And Heifer asks Rocko if they can go there so they can get some food. And then we're still led to believe that Karen, I guess, is getting ready to get cut up. We never see her again.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it is a nightmare sequence. So Karen could have actually went to go work at Choky Chicken in a real life scenario.
True.
Or she could just also still be just a couple of chicken bits.
Yeah.
You ever played the paddleball game?
I have.
What's your record?
I don't know. I don't know if there's if I kept track of the like number. I think it was more of just like a struggle of trying to do it. I can do it like this, where it like goes out from like an angle. I can't do it straight up and down. For some reason, I have more difficulty doing it that way.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if like what I was doing was still, if that's right, or if it has like a certain
angle
that's like you like if you're gonna play the game of trying to count, it has to be flat up and down, sideways, or if it just doesn't matter.
Do you think they have a pro version like on ESPN2 or something?
ESPN8, the Ocho,
maybe the Ocho.
Yeah.
I wonder if they've got something. They got some pretty cool stuff on ESPN every once in a while.
Yeah, they do.
I like that kind of stuff.
Podcast day is a very dangerous day.
This has been an IFNZ production. Yeah.